Hey there, it's Estella from My Health Puzzle. I want to talk to you about how cancer became my unofficial training ground to develop toughness. So, I would have to say before I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, I am a very holistic. My kids will tell you that, I didn't take drugs. If I had a headache, I just laid down and slept and drank more water. I was definitely averse to going to hospitals. I I was the weirdo that was always looking in my kids' toilet to see what their poop actually said about how their chemical processes were going in their body. My kids would be like, "Hey, mom, I haven't flushed yet. Come look." And I'd be like, "Cool." Yeah, I was one of those weirdos. Um, I used herbs. I had an herbal pharmacy. I did not do drugs. This was not my thing. We had shots, herbal shots, when my kids were sick. And they'd be like, "Hey, can we have some of that nasty tasting stuff, Mom?" That's what they would say to me. And I'd be like, "Sure." I would stock up for the Christmas season because everybody was getting sick from school and stuff like that for the fall and winter. That was who I was. I sought out the root cause of illnesses. I went after what could I do different in my food as medicine. That was who I was. And then I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. My bowel was completely blocked. There was nothing coming out of me. I was actually killing myself from the inside. I was toxic internally. I was in so much pain when they asked me, "What's your pain level out of 10?" I was like, try 15. I was in a lot of pain. So I ended up in the emergency room. And you know what? The whole process of the last 2 years went through 6 months of chemotherapy, 6 weeks of radiation, two of which were chemo assisted. And then I had a major 5-in-1 surgery just a couple months ago. Um, Here's what I learned. I was more afraid of the drugs than I was of the cancer diagnosis. In my thinking, if I died, I died. That was okay. I would go to heaven. But the drugs could make me feel dreadful. And that's what I was afraid of. And yet, you know what? God made such a miraculous body in every one of us that every time, every time I went through a medical treatment, my body healed and I felt more or less pseudo normal. And I was just astonished at the beauty and amazingness of how tough my body is, how tough my immune system was. So everything I went through, the inability to really do what I was doing before, I mean, I was laid flat. There was no working, there was no doing. All of that was a training ground for me to develop mental toughness, for me to really bring it to becoming aware of who I was in my soul and in my spirit and how to get out of my own way to hear the voice of my God. Because every hardship has a way of fleshing out what we need to heal in some way or another. And in my case, I was just laid flat. So, yeah, hard to come out of a victim place. Why is this happening to me? Boohoo, boohoo. And step into a place of victory, no matter what's happening around you. Just some food for thought in my cat corner. Later days, hope to talk to you. Facebook message me if you want to have more conversations about some of the trials you may be going through and how I could potentially help. Thanks.